call the meeting of the Lincoln Park Mayor and City Council of April 16th to order. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be immediately followed by the invocation by Pastor Bill Clark. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Our dear gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we come into your presence with thanksgiving and praise this evening. We want to remember Cheryl Denman today, who yesterday passed away. And we want to remember her, Father, as a wonderful Southgate councilwoman. She was a former treasurer and council president. She served the city of Southgate well, and we're asking, Father, that you would remember and comfort her family in this time of need. Father, we want to thank you for all your many blessings and tender mercies. And Father, we want to thank you for bringing us through another storm. We do have people that have suffered power outages that still have not had their power restored. But Father, we just pray for them and ask that you bring them the strength that they need at this time. I thank you for all those that are out the last several days working to restore power and services where needed. And I pray that you continue to watch over them, keep them safe, give them strength and encouragement. Father, I just thank you for this wonderful city of Lincoln Park. I thank you for our mayor, our city council. I thank you for our police, fire, emergency personnel, everybody that labors and works for the city that services the citizens of Lincoln Park. I appreciate each and every one, and I pray your blessing upon each one and your watchful care. I also pray for the citizens of Lincoln Park. I pray, Father, your continued blessing would be upon each one and watchful care. I ask tonight that you bless this meeting. I pray that everything would be done decently in order, according to your perfect will, and that bring you honor and glory. And we ask you this in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. We could have roll call, please.
Councilman Darzinski.
Here.
Higgins.
Here.
Kelsey.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Parkinson.
Here.
And Mayor Carnes.
Here. Under Mayor's remarks, you may have received in the mail, I hope you did actually, it is an orange bag with an accompanying card that talks about simple recycling. Just a word that does not begin until your first trash collection in May. So it's been a little while. You can start collecting the items. And once again, that this program is not meant to take money away from the Salvation Army or for the other places where you donate clothing and things. If you want to donate to those folks, continue to do so. And our main thing with establishing this is if you're going to throw these items away, then it's much better for you to put the holy jeans and the rags that you may have, one shoe, and all those mismatched socks that you have out there, put them in the bag instead of the trash, and that'll knock down our tipping fees, and will also, and since those are recycled, it'll be good use. So saves money, and plus I think we get a penny a pound or something along those lines. Not something we're going to get rich off of, but again, landfill space is precious at this prime, and the cost is going up. Next thing I have is a proclamation. City of Lincoln Park, Michigan proclamation. Whereas mental health is part of overall health, and whereas 1 in 5 adults experiences a mental health problem in any given year, and 1 in 17 adults live with mental illness such as major depression, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia, whereas approximately 1/2 of chronic mental illness begins by the age of 14 and 3/4 by age 24, and whereas long delays, sometimes decades, often occur between the time symptoms first appear and when individuals get help. And whereas early identification and treatment can make a difference in successful management of mental illness and recovery, and whereas it is important to maintain mental health and learn the symptoms of mental illness in order to get help when it is needed, and whereas every citizen and community can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma for that too long has surrounded mental illness and discourage people from getting help. And whereas public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Thomas C. Carnes, Mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, and the Lincoln Park City Council do hereby proclaim May 2018 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Lincoln Park to increase public understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote identification and the treatment of mental illnesses. And then we have Susan Kozak, Executive Director of Community Care Services, to come up and receive the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank.
Well, if I'm sure that the rest of the council would like to congratulate you also. And then,
Congratulations, that's
and
right.
then Susan, if you would go to the podium,
I know, it's,
go to the podium for the remarks, and that way the audience at home can hear it.
All right, thank you.
very good.
Had a stroke. I can't get around too long. Thank you, dear.
I would just like to thank Mayor Carnes and all of City Council who have supported not only our agency, who has been here for over 30 years in the City of Lincoln Park, but a lot of activities that involve mental health. There's so much that's going on nationally. We can see the violence in the school system, and the mayor just read, a lot of illness starts before the age of 14. So, I really respect the City Council for all the support that you've shown, not just with Mental Health Month, but in other activities throughout the year. You really show yourself to be an enlightened City Council, and I'm just very happy that we're located here and can work with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And that's all that I have under Mayor's comments. We'll move into the consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed in the consent agenda be approved as presented to the Mayor and City Council. 1, approve minutes, regular meeting held April 5, 2018. 2, approve concert in the park.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Murphy,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. First action item has a cover letter from the city manager, Mr. Koppler, and it's a resolution to approve amendment number 2 to water service contract between the Great Lakes Water Authority and Lincoln Park. In the letter, January 2014, the city entered into a contract with the Great Lakes Water Authority. At the time, it was Detroit Water and Sewer Department for delivery and purchase of potable water. This agreement allowed for periodic review of the terms and conditions of the master agreement to determine if volumes, pressures, and flows were sufficient to meet the needs of the city and to provide an appropriate charge for delivery by Great Lakes Water Authority. This contract was last reviewed in 2015 and resulted in the emergency manager approving and signing Amendment 1 to this contract. Much like that amendment, Amendment number 2 does the following. 1, aligns the contract to be reopened in 2022 and then every 4 years thereafter, sets the projected annual volume of water and minimum annual volume, and 3, establishes the pressure ranges and maximum flow rate for the system. The values agreed to within this amendment are important since they are part of the equation that determines the annual rates the city will be charged by GLWA for the delivery and purchase of water. While the annual rate charged by GLWA may increase due to the rising cost of operation and maintenance, the city can minimize that increase by wisely adjusting these values contained within the amendment. However, we must be careful. If we exceed the agreed upon values during the term, the penalties would end up costing the city much more. The values contained in Amendment Number 2 reflect the downward trend that began in Amendment Number 1. In that amendment, the city reduced the projected annual minimum volume of water. Additionally, the city reduced the max day flow and peak hour flow. In the proposed amendment, the projected annual and minimum volumes of water remain the same, but the max day flow and peak hour flow are reduced. These reductions in values are a result of the city having a better handle on its maintenance and operation of the system, reducing water loss and fixing leaks in a timely manner. So, whereas on January 21, 2014, the City of Lincoln Park entered into a water service contract with the Great Lakes Water Authority, formerly the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, governing the terms and conditions for the delivery and purchase of potable water, and whereas Article 15 of this contract permits the parties to amend the contract by mutual agreement, and whereas through the One Water Partnership, GLWA, customer members requested that GLWA undertake an effort to place all customers on the same periodic contract review schedule to assist in reducing, as much as practical, volatility in customer charges. And whereas to achieve this goal, Lincoln Park and the GLWA must complete the review and amendment of the master contract in 2018. And whereas representatives of the city and GLWA met to review the current water usage of the city of Lincoln Park, and based upon that review, are determined to amend the master contract. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the mayor and council of the city of Lincoln Park approve Amendment Number 2 to the water service contract between the Great Lakes Water Authority and the City of Lincoln Park, heretofore attached as Amendment A. And be it further resolved, the mayor and city clerk are authorized to sign Amendment Number 2 on behalf of the City of Lincoln Park.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Kelsey,
Yes.
Councilman Higgins,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Kelsey, I already called you, sorry, Murphy,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Whereas the mayor and city council wish to amend the city code to allow for body art facilities to be located within the central district of the city. Now there be it resolved that an ordinance to amend Title VI of the codified ordinances for the city of Lincoln Park by incorporating amendments to Chapter 1260, Section .08, Rules of Construction, Definitions, Chapter 1280, Section .03, Uses Permitted After Special Approval, and Chapter 1296, Section .02, Site Design Standards for Uses Permitted After Special Approval, be given its third and final reading and adopted. I'll move on this.
You have to read the whole
Oh,
thing.
I have to read the whole. Man,
Because we're not doing it by title only.
Donna doesn't make it. All right, I apologize, folks. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that Part 14 of the codified ordinance of the City of Lincoln Park, Title VI, Chapter 1260.08, Rules of Constructions, Definitions, Chapter 1280.03, Uses Permitted After Special Approval, and Chapter 1296.02, Design Standards for Uses Permitted After Special Approval, be and is hereby amended by the following. Section 1260.08, Adult regulated uses or sexually oriented businesses. 1. Uses. Any business which primarily features sexually stimulating material and or performances, including the following uses. A. Adult business use. Adult business use is specifically defined as follows. 1. Adult business means adult bookstores, adult movie theaters, adult personal service businesses, adult cabarets, massage parlors, and nude modeling studios. Body art facility, any location that has complied with the licensing processes defined by the state, Section 13104 of Public Act 375 of 2010, at which an individual does one of the more following: performs tattooing, performs branding, and or performs body piercing. 1280.03, uses permitted after special approval. In a central business district, CBD, the following uses may be permitted subject to the applicable site design standards of Section 1296.02, site design standards for uses permitted after special approval, and subject further to the approval of council after recommendation from the Planning Commission in accordance with the processing procedures in Section 1262.8, powers of council, RE, special approvals, body art facilities. 129602, site design standards for uses permitted after special approval. The following standards are in addition to the requirements of Section 1296.01, site plan review. Note, the requirements noted in this section are in addition to or where in conflict supersede those general requirements by zoning districts as indicated in Section 1296.01, site plan review for all uses permitted after special approval. See the processing requirement in Section 1262.8, special approvals. Body art facilities. 1, no body art facility shall be permitted within 1,000 feet of another body art facility.
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Murphy,
No.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay, next item is whereas the mayor and city council wish to schedule meetings to discuss fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council schedule study sessions on the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget for Monday, April 30, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. and if needed, Monday, May 14, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. in the John A. City Council Chambers, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan.
So moved. Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Murphy,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from our city manager again, and it's having to do with approving the right-of-way permit for Lincoln Park Schools to install fiber optic cables in the city's right-of-way. And letter goes, recently the Lincoln Park Public Schools has awarded a bid that would connect their buildings with fiber optic cables. Currently, the public schools lease this cable, but they determined they could save money by owning these cables instead. They would be installing these cables within the city's right-of-way, thus requiring the city to approve the installation. I discussed this request with the attorney that handles and reviews these matters for the city. The Metro Act treats educational institutions differently than private companies as it relates to the use of public right-of-ways. Educational institutions are exempt from payment of the applicable application fee associated with the filing of the permit, as well as any maintenance fees that may be required under the Metro Act. Further, an educational institution does not have to fulfill the mapping requirements for installed cables and facilities. This is the case so long that the educational institute is not providing telecommunication services beyond which is provided for in Section 307 of the Michigan Telecommunications Act. Effectively, what they install has to be used only in the schools. They cannot provide telecommunication services for competitors for compensation to residential or commercial customers. Pursuant to the Metro Act, the city has 45 days from receipt of the application to approve, and the application was received on April 6th, and the city has until approximately May 21st, 2018 to act. So, whereas the city of Lincoln Park has received a request from the Lincoln Park Public Schools for an ongoing use of public ways by a telecommunications provider under the Metropolitan Extension Telecommunication Rights of Way Oversight Act, 2002 Public Act 48, Metro Act, permit process. And whereas this application has been filed with the city clerk as required under the Metro Act, and whereas since the application is being filed by a public school system, the application fee of $500 is waived pursuant to the Metro Act. And whereas Public Act 48 of 2002 allows for access to and ongoing usage of public right-of-ways, including public roadways, highways, streets, alleys, and easements in a municipality for telecommunication systems. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city clerk are hereby authorized to execute necessary documents approving the right-of-way request from the Lincoln Park Public Schools, and be it further resolved, the initial term of this permit allowable under the Public Act is for 15 years with 3 automatic renewals, each for a period of 5 years.
So moved.
Support.
Question, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
This looks well and good to me, and especially for the school system, but maybe Matt can fill us, is there any downside to this that we're not aware of?
No. Obviously from the positive for the schools is help reduce their operating costs and provide secure connection between the buildings. They're going to be, for the most part, I believe everything's going to be above ground, strung from utility pole to utility pole. I'm not aware of any in-ground they're going to be doing.
Pretty much like your TV cable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question. Yeah,
Yes, sir,
I
go
got a comment. A while back when I moved in the city, the schools did the same thing, only they didn't notify the residents, because there's an easement in the back of my property, because it's an easement, and yet they decided to abandon the alley, make a long story short. The guy who came over and did it never knocked on my door, just came in the backyard of my house, put the eye hook in the bottom and put a line up to straighten out this telephone, or the electric pole telephone, because they were stringing the wire, and there was too many wires on the pole. So I noticed in here there's going to be some notification. They're going to have to go through the proper procedures. I just want to make sure they do that, because too many people like me that come home and find out all of a sudden I got something in my backyard and I don't figure how the guy got in my backyard is not the way we should be doing business. And some of these easements are behind people's homes, like I am, because I live by Hoover School and the easement's behind, which is fine. But there should be some notification of working with a homeowner, just going in there and arbitrarily doing it. And you come home one day and you find it and you go, what's going on? So I'd like to see, I've read the document here briefly, but I'd like to make sure that the school does its due diligence of what's written in the document that we have, to make sure that the homeowners are at least given notice, or work with them to make sure we don't, do anything more than we have to make sure that the school gets its stuff. So thank you.
I will pass that on to the schools.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Murphy?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Tarzinski?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Murphy?
Again?
Oh, sorry, you're voting twice again, aren't you? Parkinson?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
When I don't do this for a while, I get rusty.
All right, this next item has a cover letter by Lisa Griggs, our Director of Finance and Operations. In December, City Council authorized staff to seek bids for replacement carpeting at City Hall. The bids were opened on March 21st, of which the council received 6 bids. The low bid was received through Wilkins Floor Covering, the amount of $25,575, with an option to include replacement baseboards throughout for a total of $28,075. The cost includes nearly all areas in City Hall that currently have carpet, and those are the City Clerk's office, Treasurer's water office, Building Department, Assessor's office, first floor kitchen, lobby outside of kitchen, Finance Department, City Management Department, DDA office, Mayor's office, Mayor lobby, and conference room next to the Mayor's office. The bids that were received were Trinity 7 Enterprises at $72,188.80, Pasadena at $40,251, Creative Office Interiors at $31,571.17, Joe's Carpet Service at $31,120, and Kmart Office Express $30,061. And then we have Wilkins Floor Covering at $28,075 with baseboards. So resolved that Mayor and City Council award the bid for City Hall carpet replacement to Wilkins Floor Covering with an amount not to exceed $28,075. Funds will come from account number 410-001-983000, Capital Improvement Fund, Capital Purchases.
So move. Support.
Discussion?
Yes, is there any, through the chair, is there any special, once we buy the carpet, where it can only be cleaned one time by somebody professionally, so we maintain the warranty on it? Some of these, when you buy the carpet, there's a certain, you just don't start cleaning it. They have some kind of requirement for the first to keep, if there's a warranty with the carpet. Do we know if that's such or?
When I met with the gentleman, he didn't mention that specifically as far as cleaning. We do have a warranty on the carpet, so as long as it's not something we caused by moving furniture and so forth, it will be covered.
Okay,
But I will ask that question just to make sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Further discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just to comment, I know that we've been looking for several years now about moving to a new facility. And it looks, with this carpeting expenditure here, that we're not going to be doing any moving shortly. I have been in other city halls that have really looked nice, and I've been in some that look deplorable. I think it's nice that we're getting a chance to fix ours up a little bit and make it look nice.
Very good. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Darzinski,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Our next item is whereas the mayor and council wish to provide an opportunity for homeowners of Lincoln Park to fix up and clean up their properties. Now therefore be it resolved that mayor and council designate the weeks of April 30, 2018 through May 11, 2018 as cleanup fix-up weeks for residents of Lincoln Park. And be it further resolved that residents may dispose of general household waste excluding any hazardous material, which would be shingles, paint, insulation, chemicals, cleaning solvents, fertilizers, weed killers, dirt, sod, antifreeze, oil, batteries, automobile parts, or an appliance containing Freon at the designated drop center of the DPS located at 500 Southfield Road during regular business hours those 2 weeks. And be it further resolved that April 30, 2018 and May 11 building permits apply for projects related to home improvements for owner-occupied homes only and during normal business hours shall be discounted by 30% by the Lincoln Park Building Department.
So move, Your Honor.
Support.
Your Honor.
Discussion? Yes.
Yes, I wanted Matt to chime in here a little bit. When I saw the initial discounted rate of 30%, I was a little bit taken back. I thought that we could do a little bit more for the people. Actually, I was hoping for that short period of time, 2 weeks, that we could give a wholesale discount to kind of encourage people to work and to fix up their houses and make our neighborhoods look a little bit better. Apparently, the 30% is a lot less than that, but it's encouraging to see that we can at least start on this. Matt, we had talked about the fact that we would use this as a baseline, basically. In other words, we would start at 30% this year, and as the city gets more financially equipped to handle this type of thing, we can raise it a little bit each year.
Yeah, and the barrier that we have currently is we contract out a large portion of the inspections for the permits to a third party. And that is, forces us to try to recover that money. In an effort not to lose any money today, we've discounted it somewhat so we can still afford to pay them for the service, provide some type of incentive for residents to update their homes. This will be a baseline based upon what we find out in terms of the usage. We'll be able to, I think, better address next year how to go about this and look and work with the company that's a third party, if we have a third party at that point in time, to help reduce that cost for the residents. I think something that was also brought up in our conversation, since we had someone that has worked in the building department for us in the past, pointing out that in the past, the city didn't discount those the electrical, HVAC type of things because that was contracted out at that point in time. But in these cases, they will have that 30% reduction as well. So it's not as great as I know a number of council members would like to see for that, but I think it's a good starting point incentive to hopefully get some work done.
When can the people that are interested in taking advantage of this service start applying for these building permits or this new work they want to have done? What is the period going to be?
April 30th to May 11th.
So they can't apply before that?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Murphy?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Darzinski?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Giles Tucker, Executive Director of the Economic Development Corporation and the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And the proposed resolution acknowledges the findings presented to the City Council on April 2nd, 2018, and expresses the willingness of the City of Lincoln Park and its boards and commissions to complete tasks to obtain certification as a redevelopment-ready community and receive assistance from the RRC program in promoting sites within the community. The certification process will help establish best practices for development in Lincoln Park. Continued engagement and obtaining certification will open eligibility for MEDC assistance for development projects. For these reasons, it is recommended that this resolution be adopted. Whereas the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, has established the statewide Redevelopment Ready Communities, RRC, program to empower communities to shape their future and maximize economic potential. And whereas the MEDC has developed a program for certifying redevelopment-ready communities, and the City of Lincoln Park desires to achieve certification by implementing best practices and recommended strategies for redevelopment. And whereas the RRC program includes evaluating strong partnerships with city boards and commissions related to development, including the City Council, Planning Commission, Economic Development Corporation, Downtown Development Authority, and Zoning Board of Appeals. And whereas after review of the RRC report of findings, the City of Lincoln Park is willing to complete the tasks as outlined, which will involve interaction with the aforementioned city boards and commissions. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Lincoln Park will proceed under the RRC program and will obtain certification as a redevelopment-ready community and receive assistance from the RRC program in promoting sites within the community.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Yes, in the cover letter, it talks about budget impact. This request might have indirect impact on the budget. The RRC program includes tasks that include adjusting the development process website and the master plan. There may be costs associated with completing tasks necessary to obtain RRC certification. Do we know the estimate what the cost is and what we're going to be, what's included that we have to pay for this? I mean, where we're going to be?
Well, I think the number one issue that he's referencing is the completion of the master plan update. Okay. And, since we already laid that contract out, we know what that number is. Right. Some of the other things are really going to be controlled by the city as to when we do them. If we do any economic development plans, it would require outside contractors to complete that. I think the other issue that's looming, but we wouldn't be able to do anything until after the master plan is completed, is updating our zoning code.
Because I just, it's kind of open-ended. I just kind of wondered, if there's, I understand what you said about the master plan, but they're more, reading it, the presentation was more than that. That's why I'm asking. And there's going to be more moving parts, and some are going to cost us some money and some aren't. It's going to be simply a restructuring of looking at something we can do in-house that won't cost us anything. But, I'd just like to know where I'm going with it. I mean, the presentation, like I say, was great, but the dollar figure, I'd like to see, as we're going along, I'd like to see some kind of report to the council it kind of gives us an indication where we're going with this. I mean, obviously, we're going to, take a vote on it tonight, but I mean, to see what, is it worth the amount of money we're putting in compared to what we're going to get out of it? I guess put that way.
Why wouldn't
That's, or how,
be a problem for Mr. Tucker to give us periodic updates on the progress
that's fine.
and costs?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Darzinski?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. This next proposed resolution was moved by Councilman Darzinski and supported by Councilman Higgins. Whereas the mayor and council wish to amend the charter of the city of Lincoln Park to make the city clerk and city treasurer be appointed positions rather than elected. Whereas the mayor and council want to place this question on the ballot for November 6, 2018 for electors of the city to consider. And whereas the Mayor and council must approve this language before it can be sent to the governor for approval to be placed on the ballot. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council direct the city attorney to prepare for mayor and council's approval the necessary language to place on November 6, 2018 ballot that would make the city clerk and city treasurer appointed positions rather than elected. And be it further resolved that this language be provide for mayor and council's consideration at the May 21st, 2018 council meeting. So open up for discussion. Personally, I'm opposed to this. I feel that these are positions that the public should vote on every 2 years. But that's what I have to say on it. Anyone else?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a similar view. I have a unique perspective on this, being an elected city treasurer in the past. And I can tell you that the one thing that the city clerk and the city treasurer don't need is a body of bureaucrats telling them what to do. Basically, you're going to have a city council, a mayor, and probably the city manager selecting this person and kind of overseeing them, I would say. The city treasurer, not so much as the city clerk, needs the autonomy of being able to run their department the way they see fit to run it and not have anybody looking over their shoulders. The other point of this is we're taking away the ability of the people of Lincoln Park to make a decision on who they want their elected leaders to be. And we're handing it over to, again, a few bureaucrats who are going to make that decision. I don't think we should let that decision be made by a few people. I can't really see any reason why we would want to not have the citizens continue to elect their city clerk and their city treasurer. And, I'm open to hearing why that's supposed to be a good idea, but I don't know right now.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may speak?
Yes, sir.
This has come up in the past as well, and really what it is a budgetary thing, where we have other positions that we could merge with the clerk's office, with the treasurer's office. It would give the city council a way to combine some offices to make it more beneficial for the city in a financial way. And it also opens up the fact that we have been very lucky in the past. The treasurer's office, as you know, can be a very complicated thing, and we've been very lucky in the past that we've had qualified people who can do that. The day may come when we can't depend on an elected official getting elected who is qualified, and there really is no backup to take care of that. Now, I'm not trying to disparage any of the current treasurer. I think she does a fine job. I'm not going there. I'm saying something that could happen, and I'm trying to look to the future to stop a problem before it happens.
Mayor, I would like to ask the question, who says we're qualified? To do our jobs, let alone to oversee somebody else? I think the people out there have enough sense to elect people that are qualified to do the job. We've never had a problem in all the years that this city has existed.
Can I answer that question?
Well, hold on 1 second here. We have opened it up to the rest of the council.
Okay.
Yes, sir?
Through the chair, 11% of people vote in municipal election primaries. So, point one. Point two, the treasurer's position, part-time, is a daytime position, and it has a part-time wage. So you're kind of very, very limited the way that it's currently structured as to who can even run for the office. 3, as Councilman Higgins specified, that if that position were appointed and all those responsibilities moved into combined with another like say a partial finance department position, then you open it up to a much larger category of people that could apply for the job, actually apply for the job, and not just run for office. And number 4, I guess the people who decide whether or not we're qualified are the people that also vote. So.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with the mayor and Mr. Murphy. I'm a firm believer in the elected process. Some of us served in the military, and one of the military's great thing was the fact that we elect our leaders. Not necessarily love them, but we elect them. And my opinion has been is that I don't see a problem. And if there is a problem, there might be. Who knows? But it's an electoral process. Unfortunately, there are very limited amount of people that vote. We've been talking about that for years up here, and actually the country has been talking about that for a long time. I don't know how we solve that, but people have a due and timely and actually a freedom of voting for who they want. And the point of, I guess what I'm saying is, I think it works fine the way it is. I like it being an elected position. I think it gives the control to the citizens, which it should be. I know some people have had in the paper about other communities where they've had problems. But you know what? The electorate, I think, is smart enough to realize that they do have a problem, they correct the problem. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm a firm believer in leaving it the way it is. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor
Chair?
Parkinson, yes, sir.
I don't agree with taking the rights away from citizens to choose who they want to work our city. And I think it's deplorable that they shouldn't even be brought up. Taxpayers have rights, and that's one way is to elect who they want. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Higgins, did you?
Hearing the other people in the council, I'll just end the conversation.
Okay. Is there?
No sense to drag it
Yeah,
out.
through the chair, I got a final comment. I'm not trying to take away anybody's rights. So, and I've read the Constitution.
Okay.
And this falls in the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Further discussion?
Call for the question.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Darzinski,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
No.
Murphy,
No.
Parkinson,
No.
Mayor Carnes.
No.
Motion failed.
All right. Resolved that the accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. Hennessy Engineers, various projects through 3/22/2018, $112,735.24. GFL Environmental, curbside collection, April 2018, $109,388.02. MERS, March 2018, defined benefit, $303,104. DTE Streetlights, March 2018, $44,974.68. Great Lakes Water Authority, February 2018 water, $190,661.72. McKenna, March 2018 building rental services, $67,654.25. And Wayne County, April 2018 fixed excess, $72,035.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
A couple of questions, I guess. Going through the invoices this afternoon late, I noticed that we're repairing two of the sweepers, M83 and M84, and I know John's in here, and I don't know if those are the ones we repaired before, or they're the ones we're repairing again, or if something happened to them, I guess is my question.
I believe that M84 is the one that was just retrofitted, and I believe that was sent out to Bell Equipment and authorized by Mayor and Council in approximately January. And M83 is one that main steering arm failed and has to be, we had to basically repair or purchase a steering arm for that piece of equipment.
So those weren't the two we refurbished that we sent out and had them.
One was refurbished last year, yes.
That we sent out. Okay, that was
And
my
the other
question.
one is one that we just received back that we did just refurbish this past 2 months.
Yeah, because it just seems like we're fixing this stuff, and I don't know, your memory is better than mine, that we did before. That's why I asked about the sweeper parts and stuff like that.
83 we did refurbish.
Okay.
It failed.
Okay.
The problem is right now these sweepers are approximately 14 years old. Their potholes are tough on hydraulic equipment, let alone older equipment. It's part of the process.
All right, thank you. That's all I want to know. I thought they were, but that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilman Kelsey,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Darzinski,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Now we've reached time for our city manager's report. Mr. Koppler?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Just had a few items for your consideration tonight. First, you may notice on your desk this evening is the proposed fiscal year 2018-19 budget. There's no quizzes tonight, so you don't have to worry about reading it today. But come April 30th, we'll be meeting back here to start reviewing that, so you have a couple weeks to go over it and enjoy all the great numbers that are there. And on the 30th, I'll do an official presentation of what's in it for the public as well as for you. And we'll have the department directors there as well to answer any questions. Excuse me. A second thing I have on your desk is a memo from Fire Chief Steve Martin, and on the back side of it is a review he did related to fire inspection costs of the surrounding communities. And this comes up because a number of council members have spoken to me about feedback that they've received from business owners within the city regarding the rates that we charge, and also about some of the elements of the program that the fire department once again started up about 2 years ago under the emergency manager. I think if there's interest by council, what I would recommend, this is a starting point for information for you, but I would recommend that we have a study session and bring the fire department in so they can explain to you what the program is, and also give us an ability to explain to you what the costs are for the program and different ways that we go about achieving this. It's very important that we have a fire safety program within the city. Not only does it protect the residents and the customers of the businesses and the buildings in the city, but it also addresses some of the issues the council sees related to the buildings. We don't have all our buildings filled. They become vacant properties, and they become problems for us. But if we are continuously inspecting those properties and requiring them to invest in the buildings, it will be more incentive for them to go out and get people in there to pay rent to help afford keeping those buildings up. So I think it's a very important thing for a number of different reasons. But again, I think it's something that the whole council would like to talk about, I'd recommend that we schedule a work session and spend 45 minutes or so with the fire department to discuss this.
Yes. I would, through the chair, with a caveat of that I think you also should canvass some of the business owners to get their input before we have this meeting, so you can understand what their actual concerns are about why they're upset, so that when we have the meeting, those can be discussed, and then you can go back and we can give the feedback back to them and make a round, complete the loop, if that's appropriate.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's a great idea.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Maybe we could invite some of the business people up for the
Sure.
meeting.
Better.
Do you want to set a date for that tonight, or do you want me to get back to you and we'll schedule something at the next meeting for it? Because I think it'll probably be at the earliest the second meeting in May that we'd be able to do this.
Probably put off until the next meeting.
Okay. Very good. We will get working on that. Also, recently, I know at least one member of council had attended the Downriver Delta it's their annual meeting that was held in Melvindale. And it was conveyed to me that the Downriver Delta is looking for a place to hold next year's annual meeting. And he thought it would be a good idea for me to bring it to the whole council to see if you are interested in hosting next year's annual event that they do, because we'll need to get it to them so they can start putting that together for next year.
Yeah, through the chair, if I could explain, I've been going to those, and I think the mayor went to the one before that in Wyandotte. What this is it's an opportunity where they invite a lot of high-profile people to come down and discuss issues that go on in the community, the greening, the bike path that they're trying to get through the communities from Detroit all the way up to Monroe. They discuss the collaboration between the communities to do issues like that and green spaces and so on and so forth. The last meeting we had Mr. Evans from Wayne County, who gave a presentation on what was going on in the county concerning the jail and some other issues. And I think what they do is they try to have in each one of the communities a different rotation so they can have the community host it, and then everybody gets a chance to drive not only to their community but other communities to see what's going on. Like this one was held in the, I think it was a Canfield Community Center, I think in Melvindale, I forget the name, but anyways, a real nice community center. But anyways, so I'm sorry?
Their Civic Center.
Civic Center, I'm sorry, yes, thank you. So I thought it would be nice, because they're looking for a space after the meeting. They asked if it would be nice, and actually Ms. Varga was there and brought up a good idea and says, well, it'd be nice to host it in Lincoln Park. We have the space, and they cater the food in. I mean, we don't pay for that I'm aware of. They do that. We just provide the space and the chairs and the video, if they're going to do a presentation. And they usually bring their laptop. They just need a place to hook it up, and then the parking. So anyways, I brought this back to the council to see if the council would be interested in making that gesture to them. Thank you.
So it's zero cost for the city?
As far as I know, you have to call and find out, but I think it's zero cost. When I was there, the caterer was from Melvindale. I don't know who paid for it. I imagine they paid for it. They didn't charge us anything for it, the participants. But you'd have to ask Mr. Mayor to make sure that there is no other cost than that's been presented to me. Yes, before we could figure out what we're going to do.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Larry, how many people does it usually draw? I mean, can we have it in the council chambers? Or?
No, they had probably close to, at least 50 people there that were parked when I was there, and that's not including the staff. They had like 6 staff people there, but they had
the year before is close to or over 100.
Yeah. So they have it would be through the chair. It would probably be through the Parks and Rec building there at the Room A, I think it is, would probably be what I was thinking if we did do it.
So it would be appropriate then to explore the costs of that, and then we can make a decision at a later time to when we know what the true cost of the.
Yeah, I will give them a call and find out.
Possibly the Rotary might want to sponsor or something.
That's an exchange club.
Oh, both of them can sponsor it.
Well, I mean, that is a possibility, but you'll get back to us on
I will check into that. Yep. And that's everything that I had for tonight. I could go on for hours, but I won't.
I got a question. I'm sorry. I got a question for the city manager real quick. Safe Built, you got my email. We're still waiting to get a kind of a thing on that?
I've had a conversation with the city attorney. He's going to be preparing something in writing for us.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Okay.
I called earlier in the week to talk to you about the ice arena and the roof, and the skate company is doing their show this weekend. We have a lot of people coming from out of town. Can you give me an update of what we're going to do about that?
We are putting a very large dome over the top of it now. I did speak with the nice skate dome, the snow dome. I have spoken, with Director John Kazoo. He's going to reach out to our company that handles the roof issues and get a report back and see what can be done to try to protect it. But it's an ongoing issue that we've had, as you're well aware, and we're going to be doing the best within the resources we have to take care of that.
The skate company asked me to bring it up, so I...
Yep.
Mr. Copper,
Yes, sir.
the body art thing, I didn't think about it till after it was approved. It says 1,000 feet from another tattoo parlor. What about schools and churches? That be included in there?
Well, there wasn't any requirements in that. I think related to the central business district, I don't think there would be any.
There's no state-supported purpose. Councilman, there would be no state-supported purpose for singling out specific places to not have a tattoo parlor, because it's still considered some type of either art or expressive speech. And that's the reason why you can put location requirements to limit the number, but to further limit it by 1,000 feet from a school or from a church might be exclusionary zoning. And I don't know that there's any state-supported purpose or public purpose behind that. So
Mayor,
put in a business district or a specific area where it's allowed to go.
Yes, sir.
commenting on what our city attorney is saying, how do we do that with strip clubs, but we can't do it with this?
Well, there's different types of uses where there have been certain findings that are supported that allow you to limit locations. For example, bars have locational requirements from not necessarily churches, but from schools or in the old days. But there is no empirical study that supports the fact that a tattoo parlor would be indigenously harmful to a school or to a church. And if there were those types of studies to support the placement of the zoning, then you could further add that. And maybe that's something you look at later. But there are two things to consider. One, are they beating down their doors to come to certain locations? Secondly, does the 1,000-foot locational requirement prohibit where they go? I mean, a thing that would be equally as dangerous might be arguably a drugstore or a gas station or a service station, things like that, liquor stores. So you'd have to have a compact evaluation of the type of businesses. I would say at this point, since you're looking to not expand but to provide a certain limitation of where they can go in the number of feet, that adding churches or schools, you'd have to show some proper public purpose for that.
Well, to go along with Councilman,
Because there's an age requirement too, you understand that, and
well, to go along with what Councilman Parkinson was saying is this was under adult uses before, as the strip club is, and I don't know why we couldn't add this provision to it.
I suppose you could also consider, because liquor is purchased by adults, that liquor stores should be in the adult entertainment zone too. You have to be very careful, because the adult use was put because of the expressive conduct that you, the Supreme Court has ruled the cities can make findings as to where's a proper area to put them. You have to provide for them, but you can't exclude them from coming into the community. Whereas a tattoo parlor or a tattoo store, I would presume there would have to be some sort of study saying that it belongs only in an adult zone. And that's why they expanded or clarified the ordinance to not limit it to that, in case there was ever an argument that it is expressive conduct, it's art, and that it doesn't belong there. Or it doesn't just belong there, in other words, that it shouldn't be such a restrictive zoning for a tattoo parlor.
Okay. Well, we're not open discussion for this point. You had your question. Was your question answered?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Is there further questions for the city manager at this point? All right. Then we will move on to our department head report, which will be the DPS and Hennessy Engineers. And John, in your process, could you enlighten us on the actions that were taken with the storm yesterday? Appreciate that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and those in the audience. Over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, comprehensively over the weekend, the city received 2.49 inches of rain, plus a lot of ice. So what we did have, resultant of that event, is we had 6 flooded basements, and one of the 6 we believe was a city issue. We had a line that was plugged with handy wipes or moist wipes, and those things are deplorable for sanitary systems. Even though they say they are biodegradable, they're not. Nationwide, they're tearing up pumps and creating all kinds of havoc, including at the Wyandotte Wastewater Treatment Plant. Some of the other items, we were out all day today. We were going to start out this week, street sweeping. We had too many branches out in the roadways on the boulevards. So rather than starting street sweeping today, we went out, we were picking up branches and hauling those back in. We still have numerous branches still out there. But if we do not get either the snow that is predicted, ice, a heavy rain, or more falling branches, we're going to start street sweeping tomorrow in Tuesday's area. And we'll have crews out in front of the sweepers picking up the branches that are remnants that we did not pick up today. But to continue on, we've been out replacing signs, and the signs that we have been replacing, the mayor and council gave us authorization, and of course so did the city manager, to purchase a sign piece of equipment. What this piece of equipment does for the city is typically for a stop sign, which is approximately a $32 piece of metal. We take that stop sign now, and we resurface that existing stop sign. And it's reduced the cost from $39 down to approximately $9. So we're saving significant money using this new machine. In other words, we're out replacing stop signs, and we're resurfacing them. The water department has 33 main breaks in the last 3 months, 16 water service leads, and replaced 3 fire hydrants. 2 of those 3 fire hydrants were hit by cars, so we had to replace those also. We had 329 locations that somebody in the city, either private digging contractors, plumbing contractors, Mishcom, but it's actually DTE, that were doing dig-ups, some sort of dig-ups. So we had 329 of those locations that we had to go out and mark our utilities. In the buildings and grounds, we had 60 call-outs to City Hall, or 60 items. Courthouse 55, Fire Department 17, Library 22, Police Department 67, Senior Center, Band Shell 91 items, and DPS and the parks 50 items we had to address. Motor pool, we had 119 minor repairs, 33 major repairs, service calls such as oil change, 55 of those, road calls, if they had to go out and service a piece of equipment or a car or a truck out on the road, 49 of those. We received 1,145 dispatch calls that came into the DPS, either via telephone and or emails, and we've addressed those. We've replaced 168 street signs. Coal patch, we put out 250 tons of coal patch, which is a ginormous amount. Typically, we do approximately 50 tons per month, and of course, this is a 3-month report, and we've put out 250 tons. We spent 1,100 hours putting out coal patch. We picked up 5 evictions. Water and Sewer Department, we have citizen requests, which are CRs, that are called into the water office. We've handled 370 of those. Water turn-ons, 48. Catch basins cleaned out, 29. And a lot of those catch basins, I don't think City Hall and or the mayor and council have been receiving that many flooded streets or roadways more recently. We've been addressing those. We've gone out and cleaned out 29 of those catch basins, and we've cleaned 2,400 lineal feet of storm sewer. Sanitary sewers, we've cleaned over 12,000 lineal feet of those. Next 3 months is what I see coming up, street sweeping. In next 3 months, we have approximately 30 trees we're going to try to plant, and part of that is with a grant that Giles received from DTE along with the DPS. And we're hoping to get the city manager's concurrence to go ahead and start marking the next sidewalk area. And shortly, Ryan will be basically presenting some of the other projects that will be done here in the city. Does anybody have any questions that I could answer?
Yes, sir.
One of the calls from the library, I was there at the Library Commission, and they were very concerned about the windows having some holes in them, and I went back and looked at them. Looked like rocks went through the holes and through the window, left a perfect hole. Is there anything we can do about that?
Actually, today we received 2 quotes, and that's one of the items that I'll have to put in for a purchase order tomorrow.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
John, how goes the search for a mechanic?
Not very well.
In a perfect world, I mean,
I'd hire 3.
and in a perfect world, I'd give you 5. I don't know. Gotta be some way to solve that problem.
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones looking for mechanics.
Sure.
Other communities are looking for them. Roush's, Ford Motor Company, General Motors, they're all looking for mechanics. The dealerships are looking for mechanics. Actually, mechanics are hard to find. They really are, because I hear and listen to the other communities that are also looking for them. We went as far as I made contact with Wayne County Community College and Henry Ford Community College. Both of those automotive programs both have associate's degrees for automotive mechanics. I've reached out to both of those, and that was approximately 3 weeks ago. Sent them over what we were looking for, and I did offer to pay part of tuition to try to get somebody, and I went as far as making contact with the department heads from both of those colleges, hoping that maybe if they saw a promising youngster who was maybe struggling a little bit, maybe they would come work for us part-time or as an intern, and maybe we could help them with their college payments. And I sent that out 3 weeks ago. Have not gotten a single reply from either one of them. It's very, very discouraging.
Further questions for the,
But through Chair.
yes, sir.
John, I read somewhere that the aerial truck and the clam truck are both down.
The clam truck was down this morning. It's back up. We're still having a problem with it. It's usable, but we still have a problem with it. The tree truck, actually, we had an electrical fire underneath the dash. That is at Metro Trucking right now. They've had it 5 weeks. They haven't found it, and I almost want to take a drive over there and make sure that they've actually brought the truck to the inside to look at it. Because I would have thought that they could have found something in 5 weeks. I just talked to the supervising manager there this past Friday. He told me they haven't found the short. And my suggestion was, or my question was simply this: what would it cost to simply get a whole new wiring harness and labor costs to install it? And he said it wouldn't be worth it because it would be have a higher value than what the truck was worth. And a truck like that is about $120,000, and I find it hard to believe that it would cost that much. But if that truck, and I don't know what the year of it is, my suggestion is let's peel back some of the insulation to the point where you find the burnt wires, and usually those shorts are pretty close to that, and see if we can get that going. And I didn't have the time to call them today, but I really feel like I should take a ride over there just to see that if that truck has been brought to the inside.
Well, this weekend we're going to use both those vehicles.
Yes, sir.
It's really important. I suggest you find another trucking company to look at that. Because if they've had it for 5 weeks and they've done nothing, then I believe that they're not going to.
Well, I don't know if they haven't. That's my suspicion.
5 weeks, you should have something done.
Yep, I agree. But I know darn well that when the city of Lincoln Park takes a piece of equipment anywhere, they don't always put us at the head of the line because they have other clients also. But I agree, because I would have thought that maybe in 3 or 4 weeks they could have done something, and they haven't.
Well, then it behooves you to go down there and find out what's going on, sir.
I agree.
Is there anything further for Mr. Kazoo?
Just a comment quickly. I had some requests from residents to put in to have some stuff taken care of, and with all the work that you guys done, you took care of them really nice. So I'll pass on my thanks to your department and the individuals that
Thank you.
did that. One of them was a city street next to a business which was taken care of, which a lot of citizens seen that when they drove in and out. So I guess again, with all the stuff you got going on, thank you. I'll pass it on. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'd like to second that. Took care of some.
Yep. All the stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, we've got a very good staff right now.
With that. And we have Ryan on deck.
Ryan's on deck. He's the big shooter.
Thank you, John. If you'd hang through citizens' communications, just in case they have a question.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ryan Kern with Hennessy Engineers. It's been a busy couple of months here for us here in the city. We continue with the SAW grant program, the sewer study that the city was awarded $2 million for about a year and a half ago. About halfway through that program, have another year and a half to complete that program. Currently, we're looking at starting the second phase of the sewer cleaning and televising. We just had the bid opening for that on April 4th. We did receive 7 bids on that. The lowest bid was at $178,000, with the highest bid being almost $500,000. The estimate on that project was about $320,000, so the low bid came in about half of what we estimated. So we'll be looking to even add additional sewers to that contract too. That program is going to consist of cleaning and televising sewers in an area south of Southfield Road, down to Farnham, east of Wilson Avenue. The other area will be between Seacott and Outer Drive, and between I-75 and Fort Street. We'll also be televising all of these sewers that sanitary sewers that cross underneath major storm drains here in the city as well, because we're having issues with infiltration and inflow with some of the sewers that are crossing those drains. We did have one repair that you're aware of there under the Sexton Kilfoyle drain at Dix Highway that was taken care of about a month ago, so try to avoid another problem like that. In addition, we're also doing some additional flow monitoring in the south end of the city. Between this program and the S2 grant program that we did a few years back, we've flow monitored basically the northern 2/3 of the city to date, looking for heavy inflow and infiltration in certain areas of the city, try to pinpoint those areas. So now we're focusing on the last part in that southern area of the city. So we'll be starting that flow monitoring here this month, and that'll go through the summer months. We're also continuing to develop the Geographic Information System, or GIS, database for the sanitary sewer system, which we hope to have completed here sometime next year as well. We're also working over at the Kennedy Memorial Building and the Senior Center. We have some items there that we're working on there. We've bid out roof replacements, and those have been awarded by council already, and we're looking at starting those sometime in May. We were hoping to get those going by now, but with the weather the way it is here, we have to have a certain temperature to do that work. So unfortunately, that hasn't started yet, but we're hoping for a May start on that. We're also looking at doing some exterior repairs and some repairs to the beam supports over there, and that should be going out to bid here this week, and that'll be coming forward to you probably the second meeting in May for award. If you recall, the city got awarded federal aid assistance to mill and resurface Emmons Avenue from Fort Street over to the Wyandotte city limit. That project has been designed and is with MDOT to be put out to bid. That'll be bid through MDOT because of the federal aid assistance. And I believe that is a May 4th bid opening for that. So we'll be looking at starting construction there in June or July. As far as other road work, the road reconstruction projects for this year will be Monty Avenue from Electric to Austin and Goal from LeBlanc to Moran. Those projects, we just finished the design here last week on those, got those out to the DEQ to get the water main permits for the water main replacements on those 2 sections, and we'll be putting that out to bid here within the next couple weeks. The asphalt resurfacing program has been bid out, and that'll be coming forward to you at the next council meeting for award. The low bid on that was from Hutch Paving at $527,000. There we'll be looking at resurfacing Michigan Avenue from Abbott to Lafayette, including the roundabout, and Lincoln Avenue from Fort Park to Lafayette. And we'll be looking to start that work after July 1st. The concrete sectioning and utility pavement repair program, we've extended the contract from last year that we had with GV Cement. They'll be looking to start the utility pavement repairs, which we have 82 to date so far. They'll be looking to start those immediately after the Electric and Russell intersection improvement projects. So probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be starting on some of the utility pavement repairs, and then looking to start the concrete sectioning program after July 1st. We have 4 locations with the concrete sectioning program: Lafayette from London to Champaign, which that'll have to be done while school is out; Merrill from Fort to Ferris; Highland from Fort to Ferris; and then there's about a 150-foot section of Cleveland west of Dix Highway. We'll probably have more utility pavement repairs added to the program. We've accommodated that into the program. Last year we had 189 locations, so We're only at 82, so hopefully we're under 189 this year. And then speaking of the Electric and Russell intersection improvement, that did start today. They started removals on that today and expect to have that complete in about 3 weeks. Also doing some work at the Lincoln Pump Station. They're currently working to refurbish pump number 1, and that should be coming back for reinstallation here in early to mid-May. We've also had the grant that we got for the replacement of the water main under I-75 at Champaign Avenue. We were looking to do a cured-in-place pipeliner within the existing water main there. Unfortunately, it does not look like that's going to be feasible due to the way that water main is laid out under I-75 and the number of bends and the depth of that water main. So we're going to be looking to directional drill a new water main. And we currently have the topo survey ordered for that, and that should be completed within the next couple weeks, and then we'll get the design done and get that sent out for permits through MDOT, and we also have to cross the railroad there as well. So that would be late this year, early next year, probably for construction. And finally, the 2018 sanitary sewer lining program. Last time I was here, I had mentioned that there were 5 locations here in the city that needed emergency lining. We did put that out to bid. That'll be coming forward to you at the next council meeting for award. We received 2 bids on that. The low bid being $114,000. The second bid was $131,000. We estimated $140,000 to do the work. Looking at the qualifications of the low bidder, it does not appear that they meet the qualifications that they have had to install the minimum of 100,000 feet of cured-in-place pipe here in the state of Michigan, and they've only installed about 10,000 at best. So we'll be looking to award that to the second low, who does meet the qualifications. That's Inland Waters Pollution Control, who did some of the work for the SRF project here last year as well. So that'll come forward to you at the next council meeting. A couple other things of note. We did submit for grants for the future. We resubmitted the 2 bridges, the Harrison Bridge just east of Fort Street and the Emmons Bridge at the Wyandotte city limit. We did apply for critical bridge grant assistance for those that would, if approved, we would get 95% of the construction cost assisted. I'm not sure when we'll know the award on those. We're going to be submitting those here, I think, this week. We also submitted to the Wayne County Federal Aid Committee for fiscal year 2021 construction 3 projects that would be mill and resurfacing projects for consideration for 81% assistance as well. Those 3 projects were London west of Dix, Champaign from I-75 to Fort Park, and then Harrison from Wilson to River Drive. Those 3 streets are eligible. There's about 10, 12 streets in the city that are eligible for federal aid assistance. Those are major streets that are owned by the city, so those 3 currently are rated in the fair category. Obviously, 2021, that's 3 years down the road. By that point, those streets will probably fall into the poor category. So, and if you have any questions, I'll entertain those.
Just as for the edification of everybody at home, since there's no residents here tonight, well, a couple of residents here. So, try not to use shorthand, sir. When you say topo surveys, you're referring to topographical surveys?
Yes.
So, explain that terminology, please, a little bit for people at home.
We're basically doing a survey, a land survey of the area around the project, just so we get the elevations of that area to properly design the project.
You use all laser sites for that nowadays, don't you?
Yeah, basically, and GPS.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boy, it's not like the fun days back in the 80s, I'm telling you. Oh, sorry, I date myself in my gray hairs. And see, senior moment, I had the second question, now it's gone. Topographical surveys. Yeah, I'll come back to it.
Anything else?
Just a question through the chair to Brian. There was a thing on the TV or Facebook or something about a machine doing that automatically did pothole repairs. Are you familiar with that? It's down, and I think New Jersey has it. It's a machine that comes in, sets itself. It's in the back of a semi or back of a heavy truck. Sets itself down on the either side of the pothole, cuts the pothole out deeper, puts a certain chemical in there, probably a emulsion or something to make sure, then puts a thing on top of it, and then kind of packs it in place. And it's kind of like something they've been talking about that is very efficient, longer lasting than do it manually. And it takes, I think, 1 or 2 people to operate, so it's not really time consuming like with a, I guess my question, are you familiar with anything? Have you?
Unfortunately, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not familiar
just
with it.
just thought maybe through a magazine or something you've seen something on
No.
that. Okay.
And I know the city does have the spray patching, which I'm sure we'll be starting that up here soon, too, in the next few weeks as well.
That's it, Your Honor. That's all. Thank you.
Through the chair, I remembered. I think it was 2012 when FEMA, the new FEMA maps came in as to where the flood lines were. Of course, that goes back to a lot to them selling insurance. Were you guys involved in that contracting? How often does FEMA do those flood maps?
There's not really a standard time. I will say before 2012, I want to say it was in the 90s, the last time that it was. It had been quite a while since it had been updated prior to 2012, and I don't know of any, I have not heard of any time of when they would be updated again.
You would be involved in that though, right? As our engineer?
No, we typically are not. It would be the federal government, FEMA, involved with
They
that.
would, okay, so they
Yes.
wouldn't come to you and you wouldn't be part of that?
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move now to citizen communications. Those wishing to approach may.
Sean Stansberry, good evening, Mayor and Council. Last meeting, I mentioned that there was a good amount of trash on River Drive at Council Point Park. The mayor also commented on this at the end of the meeting. About a week later, I drove by and all the trash was gone. I'd like to say thank you to whoever cleaned up that, and it looks really good. I just was by there the other day. May 12th is Earth Day in Lincoln Park, so sign up, volunteer. I did as well. Clean up a park, plant a tree, plant some flowers, weed and landscape the museum, and there also is a tree sapling giveaway. I believe it's at the police department. Hours are, participation are 9 to 3 on, again, May 12th. And also, I'd like to say again, I do every council meeting, I hope that everyone that needs a pet, cat or a dog, that will go down to the Wyandotte Animal Shelter and adopt one. Anita and all the staff there will find a family a perfect match. They really do go the extra mile. And last I have thing to say is I encourage all city officials and citizens to pick up the April 18th News Herald edition and read the article about the 4 special election candidates. Remember, May 8th is election day, so go and get out and vote. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Next, please. All right, seeing none, we'll then move to oral reports of the mayor and council. Council President Murphy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just got 3 quick things tonight. First of all, I want to thank John Kazoo and his crew for the excellent work, and the fire department, by the way, too, for them getting out in some of these lines that we had setting fires that were down. Appreciate their help being out there. But John has done a great job with his crew. It's really indescribable, except to say that the change in his department since he's been there has been basically night and day. And I want to thank you and your crew. You do a good job. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to echo Mr. Schonsberry there. May 8th, very important day. It's election day in Lincoln Park. Get out and let your voices be heard. You got 4 people to pick from. We need to fill Councilman DeSanto's seat there. So get out and do your part. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about the Lincoln Park Cleanup Fix-Up Day. Been working to get this going for quite a while. We've gotten a tax credit or a tax break from the federal government this year. I hope that we'll use that money, at least in part, to do some work on our homes and fix up our neighborhoods. Lincoln Park is what we appear to be. If we appear to be a junkyard, we're going to be a junkie city. If we can take a few minutes and a few dollars and put our houses in order, clean them up, make them look nice, we're going to have a city that we can be more proud of. So get out there. Your permits can be filed April 30th. File your permits between April 30th and the 15th of May. You get that 30% discount. Like I said, we're starting with 30% this year, but hopefully next year we can buck it up to 50, maybe more. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Higgins.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to remind everybody, this weekend, the ice show, I already mentioned it once, but the ice show in Lincoln Park is always something, it's a special. They work timeless hours putting it together, and our ice show is renowned for being good beyond just Lincoln Park. We get people come from all over to see our ice show, and I recommend it highly. There'll be shows on, I believe, Saturday and Sunday. Get on out. I'd like to remind also everybody that this weekend, now Little League is opening in both the north end and down the south end. And reminding everybody, it may not look like spring out there, but all of a sudden we've got a lot of little guys and girls running the streets, going out there, and be a little more careful when you're driving. They're on their way to play ball, they're on their way to, and they're not caring about you and your car, they're wanting to get where they're going, and little kids don't always think so good. I mentioned earlier about I attended a library commission meeting, very educational. There are a lot of things going on at the library, and I suggest to everybody that a lot of people think the libraries are dying in this country, and they're really not. They're shifting maybe. There's a lot more going on digital. There's a lot more use of the computer. But I'd like to encourage everybody to get to our local library. We have a true gem there. And lastly, although it's not really in city council business, a lot of people have come up to me and asked about the security at the high school with all that's going on in the country, and I'd like to assure everybody we do have police officers there on duty. They are doing a fine job. We have a police officer at the middle school. He does a fine job. And also I'd like to let everybody know that over the Easter break, every single door opening going into the high school, we've already had locks on them before, but now we also have cameras and we also have electronics, so you cannot get into our building without us knowing, and you can't get out of our building without anybody knowing. And I just let the public know that this is going on and to feel safer. That's all tonight, Your Honor.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Kelsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Last weekend was kind of busy for me. First, we had the farmers market, which Fred and Leslie Lynch Wilson usually put it on, and over on Southfield and Ford here, they had a fundraiser to help generate some money to support the market. And Lydia Tooney was there. She helps out a lot of different events in the city. She helps with the Memorial Day Parade, and she helped with that. And it's nice to see some of the community members come out to support that. The spaghetti was great. It was nice for the way of some of these organizations to generate some money so they can turn around and fund items and issues that benefit the city, just like the farmers market does. Speaking of that, the VFW on Friday had a fundraiser to try to generate some money for their organization. It was well attended when I got there. I didn't win the 50-50 raffle, so they left with my money, but it was nice to see a lot of people come down there and help support that organization also. Lastly, the issue of the weather was terrible this weekend, and it was also the same weekend that the Citizens Emergency Response Team was putting on their three-day training Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So not only that were they putting the training on to train new members, volunteers to help the city out through that, they also responded to the fire department's request for power lines that were down in the city. And they worked 15 hours besides that to turn around and try to do both items, which is finish the training and also the turn around and take care of helping the fire department watch the lines so nobody gets hurt. So I want to give a shout out to the Citizens Emergency Response Team because they did a yeoman's job of not only on task of doing the training they had scheduled, but they also went around and helped the fire department, which freed up their resources to take care of the citizens. So that's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Dardzinski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think I'll move my last item to the top just so that more people hear it if it's at the beginning of my remarks. So if anybody knows a certified mechanic in the sound of my voice in all of Wayne County, please get a hold of John Kazoo or Matthew Koppler and have them bring their resume and go through the application process. It's extraordinary to me that we live in the Motor City and there's such a shortage of certified mechanics. So I just there's got to be a certified mechanic out there that meets the requirements we need, and so there's a job available. These are good jobs. I mean, so please, folks, if you know of a good mechanic, have them apply. Okay, the Memorial Day Parade is approaching. It's going to be Sunday, May 20th, and this is my big official call for Day of Volunteers. This is to volunteer for the day of the parade, and mainly to work the staging area and to help with the setup, the staging, the coordination, and then the breakdown that needs to be done. 2 years ago, Lita, Tony, and I walked that entire staging area. Just so everybody gets a breath of here, I'm going to take a second. We stage because of how we have to run the parade, we stage our parade at the heart of a business district on Park, on White, from 4th Street back to Electric and Chandler, and along Electric Street from Southfield over to White Street. So it takes more than just a little bit of coordination. 2 years ago, Lita and I walked that entire area and said, in a perfect world, how many volunteers do we need to contain this staging area the way that we want it, so that essentially it's safe for all the Little League kids and all the younger and the teenagers and anybody under 18 that comes through that parade area. By the way, that number is usually 400 kids and teenagers. So, and that's my primary goal, is to get every single kid through that staging area and out onto 4th Street with no problems. It takes a lot of work. The number is 28 volunteers. Yes, we can do it with less. I do not want to do it with less. I need 20 people to volunteer, please. This is about securing the staging area and making it safe, mainly for teenagers and kids. I expect adults to police themselves in the staging area. So 20 people. My phone number, in case you've never heard it before, is 734-775-2267. This is our responsibility as the parade committee to make that staging area safe. That is one of 3 components that secures the parade route. The police, that's usually 14 officers, and CERT is anywhere from 18 to 25 people. So a lot of people that go into securing that parade route and making it safe. I take it very seriously. I need 20 people to call me. Start blowing up my phone. Thank you on that part. Okay. One problem I would like to have in the city is for Steve Martin to come over here and say that the city council chamber is too full and some people need to move out in the hallway. I know a lot more people watch at home and watch the reruns throughout the weeks, but it would be great to see more citizens show up to the council meetings. Dylan Alley, who is the king of getting donations in this city, and so I was talking with his mom, Sherry, and I wanted Dylan to be in the parade, and she goes, "Is there something that Dylan can do to help just besides being in the parade?" I goes, "Well, what do you think?" I goes, "Well, we could maybe do some kind of food drive to help out Blessed Hope Church." So the new Dylan Alley food drive drive is a food drive for the Blessed Hope Church. Collections will start on May 7th and run through May 28th. You can start dropping off shelf sustainable foods, non-perishable items at 1335 Richmond. That's 1335 Richmond. And there is a white tote on the porch. There will also be collection boxes day of the parade on May 20th at the main canopy that we set up at Memorial Park, and then we'll truck up all those boxes and take those over to Blessed Hope. So there will be a forthcoming poster as always, and thank you to Dylan Alley and his family for doing these drives, because this stuff really matters. And blessed hope, this will help with getting the amount of food they need for May, so they can make food baskets so that families don't go hungry. So again, 1335 Richmond. Go ahead and May 7th to May 28th, start dropping off food, and then you'll see it on the Memorial Day parade website. There'll be drop-off boxes. Bring your cans of food day of the parade and put them into the boxes at the main canopy, what we call our grandstand area. Economic news. I'm going to skip over most of that, except that I want to keep on tossing around this term. It's a theme that we can have in the city. It's something I'd like to see called Lincoln Town. Been working on this for years now, and that's town as in Towne, if you want to go back to the Queen's English. And it's all about creating a vibe. And Wyandott's done it, downtown Detroit has done it, and we're going to do it too. It's not that we're going to try, we're going to succeed. Oh yeah, roads and clay and building materials. Now that we're into the big thaw seasons and all that blue clay on this side of the state, your geological differences, and the engineer comes out in me. The geological difference between this side of the state and the west side of the state, where you have more sand content in your soils. So it's a lot of money to replace roads, and you have to use the proper building materials. There's going to be legislation being worked on at the state level. I encourage everybody to start paying attention to State Senator Pat Colbeck, who has got a pretty firm grasp as an engineer himself on the proper building materials and the proper repair procedures. And interesting enough, he was talking about the paving machines, of course, which John got one, and we have that. So that paving process alone is so much more efficient, and at the end of the day, is far more cost effective than cold patch. So people start paying attention to these things. It's those are the type of building procedures we want to and repair procedures we want to move to more and more. And the paving, the spray patch that was done on I think that would be southbound electric from Southfield back to Russell. That was spray patched, and it's been almost a year now, maybe, and it's still very drivable as compared to cold patch. So these are the kind of things that really matter when it comes to fixing the roads that everybody is concerned about. And Dylan and yeah, I talked about the mechanic already. Certified mechanics apply. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Parkinson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with Mr. Salisbury. Get the newspaper and read up on the 4 candidates running for the next election. I think it'd be a very enlightening thing. The DPS, police, and fire deserve a good hand for the way the weekend turned out. And was it the CPW, Larry? You said...
sorry, through the chair, CERT.
CPW volunteered to protect down wires and stuff?
Yeah, it was CERT, Citizens Emergency Response Team, yeah.
Well, thank you to the volunteers, and thank all the volunteers in this city, because they all are very active and do a good job. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I agree with you on our volunteers and our workers. They do a fantastic job for us. As did our city planner that hosted a training last week at community policing. Councilman Kelsey was there also, and it basically do's and don'ts for all of the planning commission, the zoning board of appeals, the EDC, the DDA. It was a free training that was put on, a 3-hour training. It was, but to go through the process, why it was all needed, and the proper things to do. So she did an excellent job for us. I wanted to point that out. She is, again, working with, I think, Councilman Kelsey again, and a couple other fellows from the Planning Commission are part of a steering committee for the master plan that's ongoing. And there's community outreach that's going on as part of this master plan as we're working to get it done. So pay attention. There's going to be some ability for you to come in and have your voice be heard as the direction of the city takes place. You want to be a part of that. And mark on your calendar, if you have not already, May 12th, which will be our big cleanup volunteer day. 1,000 people coming out to volunteer just on this one specific day. That's the goal that's involved. All parks get cleaned up, including the War Memorial in preparation for the parade. So mark your calendars, get out there, get your team set, figure out what park you're going to do, get your neighbors out, because I tell it's going to be at least 60 degrees by that time. I'm not entirely certain yet, though. 72 and sunny, exactly. Be
Mayor,
positive.
bring rakes and gloves and.
Yeah, all the items of destruction necessary, but. And look for our website for more. We'll be doing Facebook presentations and other things. So, but time to plan is now. Get your, throw it down on the calendar, because when the day comes, you're going to have something else scheduled. Plan it and do it and make your part here. Be a big. We've never had a volunteer effort of this type on one particular day. Mr. Copler is spearheading this, and Mr. Gallagher. We can make this happen. So come on and be a part of our history and our improvement here. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Jarzynski?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Talk to Sean. That's a good idea. You can, I don't know if he does.